Welcome to Camp Constitution Radio with your host, Hal Shurtleff. This show is heard every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WBCQ The Planet, which broadcasts out of Monticello, Maine in beautiful Worcester County. And this show is brought to you by Camp Constitution. Among other things, we run a week-long summer camp, a week and a day-long family camp. And we'll be talking about this past camp just a couple of weeks ago, and we'll have a few people who participated online here. But I want to report some very interesting news I got, kind of unexpected and I would say exciting news. The gentleman who works, Mr. Mark Affleck, who is our camp newspaper editor and also participates, helps out with the website, informed me just a couple of days ago that in the last 2 months, the CampConstitution.net, the Sam Blumenfeld archive, has received over 130,000 views around the world, mainly, of course, in the United States, but all over the world. And some things take a life of their own. Word gets out about something as good as this, these archives here. I like to think that this show, which is broadcast around the world, I'm sure it's not a gigantic listenership, but many people are listening to this, and we talk about the Sam Blumenfeld archives, and they're posting and told their friends about it. And let me just mention what we have available for those of you who may be new to this show. Or so if you go to www.campconstitution.net, you'll see a page. It will say Sam Blumenfeld Archives. Sam was a dear friend of mine and a great friend of Camp Constitution. He had served as a camp instructor several times, and he thought camp was just a wonderful thing. And he willed his library to me, and we've been able to, thanks to, with the help of Bill McNally and Mark Affleck and Eric Conover, we've been archiving some incredible things, including we've got about 180 of his speeches he gave around the country and a few other parts of the world since the 70s. We even have a few, I think, from mid-60s. He was giving a talk on the JFK assassination. We have a lot of his videos, his writings, his books, his transcripts of speeches, correspondence with some well-known people in the freedom movement and others. And it's just an incredible resource for anyone. You can actually teach people how to read by going to the Alphaphonics. You can download the PDF, and there are, I think, 128 videos and audios each lesson. And also, if you want to learn how to write cursive, that's a lost art. You can go to that website, and bingo, you could teach yourself or teach your children or teach anybody how to do cursive and also some basic arithmetic. So please avail yourself of this very, very important resource, and consider becoming a camp sponsor for a modest donation. We can put your business on the camp website. We have a number of sponsors. Some people just sort of donate their time or donate their services to camp, and some make modest contributions to help not just make this show possible, but make our camp. Well, our camp 2016 ran from July 10th to the July 17th, and we had, I think, the biggest turnout of all the 8 camps we've had. And I have on the line here, I have a couple of campers that participated. So, Campbell, are you out there?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Shurtleff.
Okay, well, hello, Campbell. And how about Zach? Are you there too, Zach?
I am there, Mr. Shurtleff.
All right, well, we've got two young people. Zach, I guess he's 19. You're 19, right, Zach? So
I am 19, Mr. Shurtleff.
This was your first time at camp, and you next year, God willing, you come back as a counselor. And
yes,
Campbell,
I will.
think this is Campbell. This is your third camp.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm just going to let Campbell first kind of share her experiences, and then Zach can take over. And I'm sure you could probably talk for 4 or 5 hours, but the show is only a half hour long. So, Campbell, just tell the millions and millions of listeners all over the world about this camp, your experiences, what you've learned, the friends you've made, etc.
Camp is really amazing, and you learn so much there.
No, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous that there's millions of listeners now. But go ahead.
At camp, everything you learn there is amazing, and they tell you what's wrong with the world, and they give you how to fix it. They don't just give you a problem, but they tell you what to do and how to fix it. Like, all the classes there are so amazing. Like, especially this year, my favorite class was Death by Government with Mr. Kalis, and it was about all of the governments that have killed people all over the world. I believe the number was 170 million. And his game that he played, it really made me grasp really how a dictatorship works. Like, he gave us all cards that you were a peasant or a doctor or part of his military. And, like, for example, he would go through killing us. Like, if you had over a 6th grade education, you were killed. If you had any knowledge of anything, you were killed. If you wore glasses, you were killed. If you had a certain IQ, you were killed. That was
let me interrupt a second. Some people who are listening to this in other parts of the world can probably say, yes, it's happened here. If it was Cambodia or it's communist China or it's South Africa or here or there, people can actually, well, perhaps not South Africa, but people can relate to that. When you say people who wear glasses in Cambodia back in the 70s, if you wore glasses, you were considered an intellectual. And up to half of the population of that small country, that peaceful, loving country, was murdered by the communists. So go ahead.
Well, camp is also great because everything they teach you is amazing. Like, one of my favorite classes was also your class with you talked about Christmas addicts and other Black patriots, and you go over a lot about the founding fathers at camp, and that's really important to know, like, to know your past, because history repeats itself, and it's great at camp that you stress that. But also at camp, we have a lot of fun. Like, I love all of the tournaments, like carpet ball and volleyball. And also, one of my favorite things was the patriotic decorating contest. And I also love the campfire where we sing songs like "My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean" and "Clementine." Yeah, I also love flagpole, like where we do the Pledge of Allegiance, the devotion, the reading, and then I love the preamble too.
Yeah, every morning we start off with we do a prayer, a Bible reading from the Bible, and before we end up going to breakfast, we will recite the preamble of the Constitution. So, if nothing else, everybody leaves that camp knowing the preamble of the Constitution. So, what's your favorite part? I know when people ask me what's the favorite part, I'd say, well, it's really everything we do. And it's easy enough to talk about it and even show people videos. In fact, we've been uploading many of the classes and activities on Camp Constitution's YouTube channel. I think we have, 24, 25 of the either classes and events. I know there's a lot more things that put up there. So if you visit our website, there's a link right to the YouTube channel, or you can go right to YouTube and put in Camp Constitution, and you'll see some of the great classes. We really put together a wonderful group of instructors. And these people volunteer their time. Sometimes a few people we have to pay, travel expenses, like Mrs. Chris Ann Hall. She did 2 classes this year. John McManus, President Emeritus of the John Birch Society, gave a class on the UN, the United Nations, and how rotten it is. And he gave one on sound money. Economics, most people hear economics and they start snoring, but it's presented and it really, how does it affect young people, And he gave one on the conspiracy. And it's not that we engage in kooky theories about alien shapeshifters taking over the world, but, some of these organizations and individuals that are promoting things like the New World Order and how that will affect people and what to do about it. So, and then we have some of the fun activities. And by the way, I think learning is a fun thing, of course, and I like to think the campers also think it's fun. And so when I say, well, learning, and then we have fun things too, as if somehow learning isn't fun. But we do a lot of great events. We have plenty of recreational opportunities, the beautiful lake. We do a morning swim, which is optional, a morning run, a hike up Mount Monadnock, many other activities. We did a field trip this year to Concord Bridge in Concord, Massachusetts, Lexington Battle Green, and we took a tour of the Bookman Tavern and a few other things there. So what was your favorite part of the camp?
Well, my favorite part of the camp, I love camp so much. I love everything about it. It's the one week a year where you're surrounded only by intelligent people. But my favorite thing about camp is the patriotic decorating contest, because aside from all the red, white, and blue and Americana stuff, you get to use they love the judges love getting quotes from classes and all the knowledge that you have that you gain at camp. You get to you get to write things up and put things on the wall, and you get to color with friends, and you get to bond with all your all the other people in your cabin, and it's just really great.
And I think your room won the camp inspection, right?
Yes, we have amazing. We won yes this year. We worked really hard. We were lucky.
And what we do, we have a daily inspection, and of course we do have standards of cleanliness. But in addition to that, we're looking for patriotic and godly themes. And we're not looking for a bunch of people to go to iParty and put a bunch of, streamers up there, but some creativity, so forth. Well, I guess Zach called back. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing good, Mr. Shirtless. Sorry
Good.
about
Okay.
that.
Well, let me. This was your first camp. Now you're 19 years of age, so you're a young man. You're not. You're a man now, a young man, as opposed to maybe someone who's 12 or 13. Coming to camp is the first time. So share your experiences. Maybe what got you to camp, and did you have any? What am I doing here? Any second thoughts? And just I'll give you the time and just share your thoughts and with the listeners.
So the first thing I just wanted to say is that this is my first ever camp that I've gone away from home before from. It was a step outside the box for me. And Mr. Norman Tregenza, someone who lives up here in Center Conway, New Hampshire.
No, just for the sake, so the camp, just so that people understand geography, the Towanipi Retreat Center is in the town of Ringe, New Hampshire, which is in the southwest corner of the state that actually straddles the Massachusetts border. And you live up in the White Mountains, a good maybe, 2.5 hours away?
I would say so, and I was...
Yes.
I would have to say I was kind of homesick at first, and I made so many good friends. Like, Campbell was one of my good friends. There were a lot of guys like your son, in particular, Mr. Shirtless, that really...
Yeah, my son Nathaniel, who's your age, and has been a counselor now for the last 2 years.
And he was so welcoming to me. They took me under their wing, including Andrew Affleck, Mr. Mark Affleck's son, really took me under his wing. They made sure I was welcome. They made sure I was accounted for. They didn't make me get lost necessarily. Because I've been to places where, let's just say, I show up and they just say, whatever. And
well, during our counselor orientation, which we do Sunday afternoon before most people show up, we look for signs of homesickness. And whether you're 19 or you're 11 or 12, so we say, look, welcome these people in, involve them in activities as quickly as you can, and so that homesick factor simply goes away. Now, of course, we do have whole families come, and in some cases, mom and dad may have their own room. Like we had a few families that did that, and their children would be in the rooms or the cabins, or with the other campers. And because you would happen to be a camper, you were in a room with about 20 other guys.
20 other guys.
So, but you could. There's a lot of activity. People go to a church, and sometimes, no one welcomed me. No one said hello to me, and this place is. But we do overcome that. We do encourage people to new campers. We want to, and new counselors too. Feel welcome. And Camp Constitution isn't owned. It's by anybody. It's not like I don't own it. It's not owned. It's our camp, and it's a not-for-profit. It's actually a public trust. A charitable trust based in New Hampshire.
It's so amazing that it was so welcoming. I've never been to a place so welcoming than Camp Constitution. It was the best experience for me in my whole entire life. Mr. Tregenza said at the beginning of the week, you're never going to regret it. You are going to love it. You're going to want to wait and sit around till 2017. Talking about it, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm waiting for 2017's camp to arrive.
Well, one of the things, we do have some, I would say we don't have any concrete plans. We would definitely love to have other camps start up around the country, even around the world. But it takes a lot of work. As you can see, what makes our camp successful isn't that one person's running the show. It's that we got a lot of people all pitching in. From the instructors, our our Patriot Camp for the young people, 5 to 11. I know Campbell helped out with that. And it's just so young people are happy to learn about these things and having a great time. They do singing. It's not as intense as the older campers, but they get a lot out of it. They have a lot of fun things. And we like to think that we can offer people a life-changing and or life-affirming time at camp. And I think a lot of people have been touched. One of my good friends, he's been to camp a few times just for the day. He's in his mid to late 60s. He he heard the campfire go on one night, and he was walking by the lake, and he did join the campfire. Well, he's welcome to, but he was just listening to this young people singing some corny old-fashioned songs and telling corny jokes and poetry and doing skits and things. And he thought to himself that if there were more young people like this, the future of our nation would be secure. And he referred to it as his Camp Constitution moment. And I don't know if I can have a camp Constitution moment. It's like I think it's every day from the minute I pull into the camp till when I leave. There's just so many things that that impact me. So many people impress me. The young people, the caliber of the counselors. People will drive all the way from Michigan, for example, Western Michigan. We have a Mrs. Harper. I mean, she's a retired school teacher. She's in her 70s, and she drives all the way from Western Michigan to New Hampshire. She's not being paid because she realizes the importance of what we do, and people actually take time off. A lot of camp counselors are actually paid, and they may give they give them a little bit of instruction, and most of them at some of these camps are young people, and they're getting paid sort of a minimum wage type of thing, or even less than that. The camps are like a summer-long camp. Our counselors actually pay to come. We give them a little bit of break. See, it's a it's a nonprofit, so people come and pay. It's a not-for-profit, and it's all volunteer. So it's not like we got a bunch of people that are just salaried employees and just going through the motions, but people will pay to come, and be counselors, and some instructors pay as well. They'll come and and that's something I think is quite unusual because we have very dedicated patriots that are involved in our camp. And our camp motto, what's the camp motto? Honoring the past. And that means the history of our nation, the people that went before us, but it's also the recent past, too. We want to honor, like the late Sam Blumenfeld, we honor him by keeping his work alive and getting more people to realize it. Teaching the present, and it's not just young people my age. I learn stuff every year. If I don't learn something at camp, I'm wasting my time. And I learn a lot from the young people. Alex Hale, who had been a camper for 4 or 5 years, he might have been at our very first camp in 2009, and now he's an instructor and a counselor, and he gave a wonderful class on the Revolutionary War. And I tell you what, when I was 19, I don't think I was a history buff, but I don't think I'd have the guts to get in front of 100-plus people and give a presentation, So
that was the most amazing presentation.
Yeah, he did an incredible job. He needed 2 hours, an hour and a half, and we have to keep our classes to 50 minutes. We realize that the brain can only absorb what the rear end can absorb. You know what I mean? Sitting down for more than an hour, and because it's in the summertime. And but I think that if you get a good introduction to a topic, people can, for example, if I sat through that class and I got really interested, I'll go get a good book on the subject. And we have a nice collection of books on our book table. Many people donate things. Some things are regular books that we have all the time because the topics. And by the way, everybody who comes in, once they register, what do they get? They get an incredible half-hour DVD called Overview of America. They get a camp songbook. They get
a camp bag.
A camp bag. That was the first year we've done this. Instead of the just a brown envelope, we give a nice little camp bag with a logo on it. But they get a Constitution. And they'll say, gee, you already have one. That's good. What do you do with it when you already have one? You give one to someone. You give it to somebody else. That's what freedom activist does. You share your information with other people. And so what we're trying to do at our camp is not just to have a great week and everyone has a great time and go home and then forget about it until the next year, but we want people to go home and we want them to be freedom activists, to get involved in local issues, state issues, national issues. And so we want to be a resource for that, too. What do I do? How do I, oh, gee, they're doing this Agenda 21 program here in my town. Well, you learned some things about it. You can get resources from us, and even if you need help with it, here we are. You want to write a letter to the newspaper? Here we are. We have the information. We can help you with that. You want to get some people out and distribute information? We can do that, too. We also have, we do a few homeschools during the course of the year, homeschool shows in the course of the year. We'd just like to see more of that. And perhaps we could even implement something like constitution clubs, where campers who have gone to camp maybe can hold little gatherings in their homes to learn more about the Constitution and current events, and reach out to more people in the community. So anyway, Zach, what was your favorite part of camp?
My favorite part of camp would have to be the classes. They were so interesting, going from Chris Ann Hall's and Mr. McManus's at the beginning of the week, and then shifting into Reverend Kraft's classes. I went to every single one of his classes. His talk on God is Not Dead, it was the most powerful class I've went to, religion-wise, ever in my whole 19 years. And Reverend Kraft really touched me. I feel like he was my main Camp Constitution moment.
That's great.
And Mrs. Kraft was such a darling. We made jokes at the campfire all that week about having encores for all the songs. And if campfire could go for 2 hours next year, that would be the most amazing thing ever.
Well, there is a problem with having 2 hours of campfire. We have to sleep once in a while. But let me touch on that about the religion aspect of it. The Camp Constitution has people from different denominational backgrounds. We have Catholics, Protestants. So we understand that. We don't try to focus on our differences, but on what we have in common. And so Reverend Kraft can reach out to, what he says can resonate with all people of faith, And so we want to make sure that, people can, regardless of your denomination, that you can, it's not like a Baptist camp or a Pentecostal camp or a Catholic camp, but it's a camp made up of patriotic Americans with strong Christian beliefs or godly beliefs. And I like to think that people leave there, more convinced in their faith because of what they learned and what they take away from it. So that's why we encourage that. And of course, our founding fathers, we made that clear during the course of many of them made very strong Christians and strong beliefs. And we talked about John Adams, and he said this Constitution was made for a religious and moral people. It is wholly inadequate for the governance of any other, and many other comments like that, things of that nature. So Campbell.
Yes.
Campbell, you're 13 or 12 or 13?
I'm 13.
You're 13, and you live in New York City, or from New York City, and let me say that when you live in New York City, the environment's a little different in Ridge, New Hampshire, isn't it?
It is. Everybody is very of like a one mindset, like a very liberal mindset of we must save the earth, and of the great, they believe in global warming and all of that, and like they love the UN, although there are some great people there, I know Mr. V, who comes with his son.
Mr. Villaniscus, he lives in Queens, New York, and you live right in Manhattan, right?
Yeah, he's part of. I go to John Birch Society meetings, and he's in our chapter. And our Manhattan chapter, we went to the UN and we handed out literature. And we also brought some Camp Constitution brochures with us, and we handed out a whole bunch of literature in front of the UN. And we try to educate people like you tell us what to do, like at camp. We tell them the truth.
Tell them the truth. And that's, I don't think there are too many 13-year-old people handing out information exposing the United Nations. But we need more and more people to do that. One of the things we do in the last full day of camp, this would be Saturday morning, we take out some campers. We can't take them all out, it'd be too much logistical issues. And some of the campers we do what we call a round robin, where they'll sit around a round table with some of the with an instructor at each table and kind of go over what are you getting, what we taught, and have any questions. Sometimes when they feel more comfortable in a smaller group to ask questions than they would in a larger group. But then we take some campers out to visit the surrounding towns. And Ringe is it's in a rural section. It's not in the wilderness. It's not like, you know, you're 100 miles from the nearest Dunkin' Donuts or Walmart, but it's a rural community. And we visit the town, the people that live around the camp, and some of the businesses, and the town of Jaffrey, or the Winchton, Massachusetts, or wherever. Sometimes Keene, New Hampshire. And we break the young people down to groups of 2 or 3, and they go and knock on a few doors. They pop in the stores, and they distribute constitutions. And this year we had constitutions as well as information on the dangers of an Article 5 convention. And then we also visited a couple of police stations, giving the policemen information on supporting local police, and that there are a lot of people out there that are, you know, not in favor of this terrible violence that's being against the police and so forth. And I tell you, there can't be anything more encouraging for someone I'm 57. I can't remember any young person ever coming to my door with a constitution or promoting liberty. You know, they sign this petition for Greenpeace, sign this petition for raising the taxes, sign this petition, and they're getting paid. But here are these young people. And I'd like to see more people do this on their own, you know, call me up and say, hey, Mr. Sherlock, can you get me 100 constitutions? We're going to take my brothers and I, my sister and I are going to go out, you know, and distribute these. Well, it looks like we have 3 whole minutes left. So let me see. How about Campbell? Can you have any concluding comments?
I just want to say thank you so much to you, Mr. Shirtless, for what you do, because camp is truly amazing, and it touches people, and you educate all of us. Like, I helped out with the Junior Patriots, and Mrs. Kraftstock, and she gave me like a little block to give a talk to the Junior Patriots, and I talked a little about like what you talked about the Article 5 Convention and the Con and how it's so dangerous. And one of the Junior Patriots, Gus, was so alarmed that he went up to me afterwards and asked me more information. I told him also to see Mrs. Harper if he wanted more information.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But he was very concerned, and it's like, it's great how you touch people, because I learned so much at camp every year. It's just amazing. Thank you, Mr. Shirtless.
Well, I tell you, I want to thank you. You wrote a very nice article, and I didn't expect that, and it was just very nice. So we do have a camp blog. If you go to our camp website, and you'll see articles, and I've been trying to get more people involved, because, you know, let's write an article every day or every other day, or have 5 articles a day. That gives more traffic to the website. And so Campbell, you'll be hopefully a regular contributor to the blog, and hope Zach can do likewise. And we know what we're looking for. Not just looking for some experiences. There's something you might have, maybe a comment on the elections, or something, you know, that's Camp Constitution in our realm, you know. All right, Zach, we've got 1 whole minute, so take us to the end, brother.
I just want to thank you, Mr. Shirtless, for having us on today, and I just want to say you need to come to Camp Constitution. You can watch all the videos at home on YouTube. You can do all the things Camp Constitution-wise at home, but the experience that you get at Camp Constitution isn't nearly the same at home. You need to come.
So next year's camp, July 2nd to the 9th, and we're already taking applications. We're actually going to be redesigning the application process, so you want to send Mr. Charlie Everett a deposit for next year's camp. But we do have some special events in the planning stage for July 4th, since it's Independence Day, and we're going to be doing some special things at camp. And so, okay, well, thank you, too. Thank you for making our camp possible and making it fun this year. And God bless both of you, and thank you for listening. You've been listening to Camp Constitution Radio on WBCQ The Planet, which is heard every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also on IPMNation.org on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to see some of or hear some of the radio shows, the archives, you can go to our YouTube channel, and this one will be up there probably in a week or so. So God bless you, and good night.